Hi, my name's Alicia and I'm coming on to tell you about my experience with cancer, and hopefully it makes a change for even one of you or many other people. And I'd love to hear people's stories as well. So if you want to message me or you want to talk about anything, please feel free to message me or comment underneath or whatever. So it took me 10 months to be diagnosed, first of all. My symptoms was just like a really strong discharge and spotting, and then went into quite a bit of bleeding daily. Like, it went on for ages. I went into my doctor on November 2018, and my doctor was training for someone, or she was a trainee, or covering someone. So I went to my GP, told her my symptoms. She asked me if I could do an examination. Me thinking it's going to take minutes, it's going to be so easy, it's not going to be painful, I'll just do it. I was really nervous because it's the sort of first examination I've had down there. So I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, I did it. If I can honestly say, my pain level is quite strong. From having tattoos on both arms and on my shoulder, all that pain is worse than the pain I experienced that day. From 1 to 10, it was 100. It was not exaggerating. It was awful. So I did an examination. She asked me some really strange questions, and I mean really strange questions. She also asked me if I was on my period, and I said no. Wasn't even due on anytime soon. So she said she's going to go and get another doctor because she couldn't do an examination because it was so painful. I was climbing out of bed. I was in absolute tears. It was awful. So she went to go and see a higher doctor. He came in absolutely pointless. He shouldn't have bothered. So he came in and didn't even bother trying to do an examination. He saw I was in a lot of pain. He saw I was bleeding. He said, we're trying to do some swabs and we will just leave it as that. It should sort out. It will just go home. It will sort out in a few days. Well, it sort of didn't. It got worse. it really did get worse. The pain, I couldn't walk for a few days. I thought she might have torn down there because it was painful. The bleeding started, and it was like light spotting, but it just got worse. So my discharge and the bleeding got worse, and in the end, I was speaking to my friend. She said, you need to go to the doctors, and in the end, I did. I was really scared because of the first time, because it just really did sort of scar me, and trying to trust any GP again is going to be hard, even now. So I went back to the GP, and if I saw this GP, and I would have wanted to thank her from the bottom of my heart because she pretty much saved my life that day. She said, this is not right, you shouldn't be experiencing this pain. And the bleeding and discharge doesn't sound normal either. So she did a fast track of a biopsy. I must have got that in a week or a week and a half. I went to go and see another doctor at the hospital, and again, it was so painful. The bleeding was worse. It was unreal. So I had to see a consultant. I just got passed along it. So I had to see a consultant, and he had pictures up on the ceiling. He said, look up the pictures and it'll be done in a minute. It wasn't. It was very painful. I think he had to use anaesthetic gel to sort of numb it a bit. He took the biopsy. He took me into the room after. I sat down, and they gave me a sanitary towel after they did it anyway. But the bleeding was horrible. It was like being on a period, but worse, even worse. The sanitary towels weren't doing anything. So he said it could be a polyp, but we'll have to see what the results will be, and the treatment might be different. So I was like, right, okay. So I went back to work as normal that day, that night, just trying to get through it as you do, because I was care for the elderly, so you just fight through. It was, lucky enough I was working with my best friend, but my patience wasn't great that night. I was nice to them, I didn't lose my temper with them, which people do, but I didn't. Still stayed so strong and got through the night. So I went home that day just as normal. I still had cramping and the bleeding was still heavy. I spoke to somebody else who's one of the workers, and she said she had a polyp, and she said I didn't bleed that heavy after. So I was like, okay, this is not looking great. So I went to the beach because it was my nan's birthday on the 29th of September. Okay, today is when I'm filming it this. And I went to the beach, and the bleeding again was still heavy. I hardly ate that day, but I couldn't keep food down, couldn't keep any fluid down, and I had to go to work that night. And I still didn't feel great, so I tried to get that day off, or that night off, but I got told I had to go in because there was somebody shadowing us. But in the end, I didn't have to shadow because I just didn't feel great, so I got told just to take it easy that night. It's pointless being in. But yeah, so I went in. I was sick before I went into my shift, and I was sick all through the night as well. And I messaged my manager and said, I need to go home, I'm being sick, I can't keep anything down. I don't know if it's a bug or anything. I didn't sort of click on it, could be down to the bleeding. So I told her, she said, you can't go home, somebody's supposed to be shadowing you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, fine. So I got told by one of my workers, which really, she was great that night. She just said, sit there, just rest, and we'll do the work. So they did. I managed my manager that night as well, and said I won't turn up tomorrow night because I'm feeling like this. So I didn't. Wasn't happy to work, but what can you do when you're not well? If you've got a bug, you're not going to take that risk and pass it on to the residents. So that was that. I went to my doctor's on Monday, and I told them I was bleeding heavily, I can't keep any fluids down, just had a biopsy done, told them sort of the story, and they gave me these tablets to slow down the bleeding, which did work. I did start to the bleeding did stop. Again, I think I might have just started to feel a bit better again. Wasn't still 100%, had cramping the whole week. Like, it was like period cramping, but worse. It was really painful, and I can normally deal with the pain from cramping, but it was agony. So my tablets was due to stop. I was supposed to stop them on Saturday, the following Saturday. So that Saturday, which would have been the 6th of October. So I stopped them. I still had some left over, but I had to stop them because obviously things going on. And obviously the amount of time you was on them, you had to stop them. So I stopped them. I went, and the bleeding started again. So I called 111, and they told me to go to A&E. So I did go to A&E. I told them what was going on. We did some blood tests. And they told me to count my tablets till my appointment, so I did, which my appointment was on the 9th of October, so that Tuesday. So I did. And then they told me, which was really strange, they told me good luck, which I don't normally say to you if there's nothing wrong. So it sort of did click on a bit. I had researched some, like, the symptoms, and it did show cervical cancer. So I sort of had some sort of gist about, like, some idea about it. But you know when you just don't want to sort of believe it, you want to think it's something else. But before to draw up to my appointment, I had the letter from oncology. So I was like, okay, I know what oncology is. My mum knew what oncology was, so it even more lead up to it, onto what could be. So I was like, okay. And I sort of started to panic, but I kept it cool, as I do. So Tuesday came around, I went to my doctor's or to the hospital, and there was a song I was playing on the way. It didn't really click on. I sort of didn't. I like Mamma Mia, and I was playing Mamma Mia songs of the second movie, and the song was playing Why Did It Have to Be Me? And it literally was how I felt when I found out, why did it have to be me? Nobody wants cancer at all, and I don't wish it on anyone, not even my enemies. But it literally is that question: why did it have to be me? Why did I have to have cancer? Why did I have to go through all this, etc. I'm gonna finish it soon here, so I can move on to the other video. But I'm gonna get on to when I was diagnosed. So I went to walked into the room. There was a Macmillan nurse. Again, Macmillan, why is a Macmillan nurse there if everything's fine? And my doctor said to me, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you didn't say it in these words, but I can't remember the actual whole conversation. But she said, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but you've got cervical cancer. But it's a rare one. I was like, okay. So she said it was a clear cell cervical cancer. Didn't know what stage I was. But it was that. She told me what it was. And the worst thing I said to my mum was, no parent wants to hear. So I don't want to die, Mum. I'm only 21. No parent wants to hear. And I do apologise, Mum, if you're watching this. But it was just something. It came out and it was hard. It really was hard. It was not easy a journey. But yeah. So they asked me if they can do an examination to sort of try and find out roughly what stage I am. So I said I agreed. I said that's fine. She tried to do an examination again. I was in so much pain, so I had to do anaesthetic gel to sort of numb the area, and I used quite a lot that day. So they said we can see where the bleeding's coming from. It's coming from the tumour. It's growing out instead of in, which was good. But can we try and remove it today? And I agreed. I said, yeah, that's fine. Because they took the biopsy from the tumour, so it would have stopped the bleeding. So we did that. Flipping out. I felt so sorry for my mum, because the TV they were using the camera on, it was facing her, so she couldn't even look away, and there was tubes over me with the blood coming through. It was awful, but she kept strong. And she was my absolute rock through it all. My family and my friends were absolutely amazing, but my mum was just the top. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it as that. I'm gonna come back and tell you what, the rest of it at some, probably in a few days. But for the time being, I want to leave it as that to go on to the stage and the journey through it all, and then my other video will be probably the after effect. So I want to say thank you for all coming to watch so far. Please come back and watch. It will be positive, so it's a good story in the end. But I just want to sort of put that awareness out, and hopefully I can help people, even if it's just to go to the doctor, and it could be nothing, or to help someone get through the journey, or just something. Just really want to help someone get through this. Yeah. So thank you for coming to watch. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to know more, please feel free to comment underneath or message me if you want to have someone to talk to. But yeah, thank you for coming to watch. Bye for now.